Hi, Oak Trace residents. After discussion with the resident council, I've decided it would be beneficial to provide a written and video update approximately 2 weeks after the monthly resident council meeting. Both updates will contain the same information. I will provide updates in the monthly resident council meeting as well. I'm going to try to keep these updates brief, but address at a high level any concerns that were raised. I also want to make sure my communication is working, so please provide any feedback as you feel necessary. So I'm going to run through some of the issues that were raised with a little bit of an update on what's going on. And then this information, as I said, will also be in a memo that we'll put out today on Friday, April 9th. The first floor bathrooms are currently under review with a designer. It's a budgeted capital expense this year. I'll keep everybody updated as I know a timeline. The plant operations team has already started working to clean out some of the construction area, some of the loose garbage that's in there. I agree, it doesn't look good when we look at it, but we're going to try and make it look as good as it possibly can. Repainting of the lines in the parking lot is planned for this spring. We're working on an improved process for the garbage that's outside of the healthcare center. Again, I agree it's not pleasant to look at. We're just working to find some improvements that will make sense, and I'll share those when we figure that out. Outdoor furniture will be cleaned off every morning. That was a question that came up in the resident council meeting. Concern was raised about water pressure and water temperature. The water pressure issues should be resolved. The repairs that were needed to the house pumps were completed. And the temperature issues should be resolved as well. The permanent replacement of those mixing valves will be scheduled in the coming weeks. We're going to make sure that we give you adequate notice that the water is going to be shut off. We're also working to improve parking compliance around campus. In the last year, some of the parking restrictions have been loosened, but through education and enforcement, you should see an improvement in available guest parking. It's an ongoing process, so you should see improvements over time. The plant operations team is also aware of the potholes that are around campus. Those will be fixed in the coming weeks. We just had to wait for warm enough weather for that to be effective. A question was also asked about the decks and when those may be washed and stained. That will start in May and June. That as well, the weather just needs to be warm enough for us to do that. There was a concern raised about the path around the pond and that there's a spot where the gravel ends and it can get muddy there. So we've engaged Siebert, our landscaping vendor, to look at that and provide some recommendations on how we can fix it. The Lifestyles team is working with our TV provider to see if we can get the programming schedule shifted to the next day later in the day so that you can plan for the next day. I understand that the equipment to broadcast programs from the Great Hall is not meeting your expectation. So I'm going to work with our team to review that equipment and see what upgrades could be possible. The Human Resources team and I are going to work on a plan to highlight team members. This was a request from resident council as well. Some pictures and a little bio about people. So we're going to work on a spot and a way to do that so you can learn more about those that work here. The environmental services team provided resident council with information on what's included in the biweekly and annual cleanings. This information was distributed each floor. More information on the schedule of those cleanings will be coming about mid-month. The townhomes are going to begin May 17th. We're asking residents not to reschedule as we hope to get these done as quick as possible. Some uncertainty was expressed about the current COVID-19 restrictions in place around campus. So I sent a memo on March 30th that outlined the guidelines. And as I expressed in that memo, we're going to continue to maximize the programming and gathering that's possible, but keeping the safety of our community always as the top priority. I know that a topic of high interest is the construction and development on campus. And my goal is to provide thorough, timely, and transparent communication throughout this process. On March 31st and April 1st, meetings were held at Oak Trace with those that have put down deposits and plan to move into the new building. The meeting was very similar to one that was held in February with current Oak Trace residents. The meeting talked about the possible design and layout of the new common areas and some of the renovations to the current common areas. And floor plans for the new apartments were shown for the first time. I gave this same presentation yesterday, April 8th, to the resident council because I wanted to make sure that you had the same information as future residents. So please speak to your floor representative and they can fill you in more on this presentation. The official marketing floor plans aren't completed yet, but once those are, we'll be able to share floor plans for the apartments more broadly. I've also heard many questions about improvements to the current residential living building. What's included in that project? When will things begin? I'm working through those plans with the team, and I will communicate details as soon as they are available. I was talking to a resident who I believe summed up the collective viewpoint well. She told me, "We're really excited for the new clubhouse, but don't forget we live here now. Please know that I hear you." I will continue to share updates through resident council and this memo, but please never hesitate to stop by my office, call, or send me an email. I want to thank everyone again for the incredibly warm and supportive welcome I have received. It's great to be here.